In this video, you're going to learn how to quickly create an entire year's worth of social media content. Now, this is an interview with online business owner Christina Root, where she shares the exact process that she used to create 365 days of social media posts and get them scheduled out all in a matter of 2 weeks. Watch this video to find out how she did it. Hey guys, Angie with Gensler.com here, and today I have a really special guest with me. Her name is Christina Root, and she is the founder of Organize Your Biz, and that's organizeyour.biz. And Christina helps women create businesses based on their unique personality strengths and within the time constraints of their busy lives. I mean, who doesn't need that? Christina is also a customer of my social media content calendar, and she used the calendar to create and schedule an entire year's worth of social media posts. And when I heard about her process, I was completely blown away, and I knew that I had to interview her and learn more about her process. So first of all, Christina, thank you for joining me. Okay, so talk to me about your process.
So I used 2 weeks, and these are like my two prime weeks for content creation. And so I sat down with the content calendar, which I love and was amazing. And I was like, okay, if I wanted to create a year's worth of content, how would I do it? And at first I was like, okay, I was like, this is my goal. Like, I would love to do that, but it's not actually going to happen. And I thought, really, I'm going to get like 3 months done, because I usually have like these huge goals. And then I'm like, that's not actually going to happen, but we'll see. So my process was, I took it 1 month at a time, and I use a company called Meet Edgar, and they schedule all of my posts. And so what I did was I would sit down with, like, January, for example, and I would say, okay, each in the month of January, and I'm pulling the number out because I can't remember, I'm making this up, but there's like, 3 prompts that say like fill in the blank or whatever. There are 3 of these different types of prompts. And I would say, okay, I'm going to write all of those right now. And so I would write them and then put them into a spreadsheet that I then uploaded later on into Meet Edgar. But anyway, so when I just wrote them out, nothing fancy or exciting. And then I would basically go through and pick out each different type of content. And if I could batch create it, like, for example, different kinds of prompts or whatever, I would just put those in. And then, oh yeah, it was great. And then any written content all happened at the same time. And so I would like finish January's, and I would go, okay, now I'm going to stop and I'm going to take a break from writing, because you can only do, for me at least, I can only do one task for so long before my brain starts to be like, and like we're not doing our best work. And so then any post that I felt like would be enhanced using visual content, like for a video. I don't do a ton of videos on social media because I prefer those to be live and kind of in the moment. But if I felt like they needed a video, or if I wanted to include an image with them, I stopped and I created and scheduled all of the images that I use. And I always have a template for those because it makes it easier. And I added all of the images to the posts in Meet Edgar. And so then I would have 1 month done. And then the next time I sat down, I would go, okay, now we're going to work on February's content. And then I would go through all of the prompts for that month. And I liked that because what it allowed me to do is, a lot of times when I would use the calendar and I would say, like, I would put in one of your prompts, and then I would go, oh, you know what? I love this prompt. That's great. But like, I could also do a prompt on whatever. And so it also sparked me to have my own inspired content.
I love that.
But I didn't feel like I had to have all the inspiration. My biggest struggle with social media in the past has been, I get really excited and motivated and inspired, but then like it comes, and then when it's gone, I'm like, yeah. So that one post 2 months ago was great when it was inspired, but like, what do we do now? Like, and so the calendar gave me a framework and gave me things. And there were some things where I was like, okay, well, I would say that, but instead I would change it to whatever, something that applied to my audience more, or something that resonated with what I'm teaching more. But ultimately, like, it gave me this huge wealth of things that were, you could tell, intentionally created by someone, Angie, who really wanted to spark conversation. And this was something that Angie and I had talked about privately. I had said I hated when I was looking for social media content to share and people would be like, what's your favorite color popsicle? Like, or something like stupid things like that, where you're creating content that doesn't really add value to your audience, because I want to spark a conversation that's amazing and soulful. I mean, yeah, sometimes we do talk about things like, do you like coffee or tea? But like, for real, that's important. No, but like, I really wanted to focus on creating, not just creating any content. It's not about just like sharing anything. It's about sharing things that resonate with my audience, but also like making it so that I can be consistent even when my actions are not consistent. So using the social media content calendar with Meet Edgar was amazing.
Nice. Oh, I love that. I love hearing that because when I was creating it, the idea was to help small business owners be consistent because that was something I struggled with. And it's
Mhm.
just like you said, you have these moments of inspiration, or maybe you read an article and you're like, okay, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be really good about my social
Yes.
media. And it lasts for maybe a couple days. And then you have like this dry spell. And then you go weeks
Yeah.
without posting, without any inspiration. And then you're kind of like, oh, crap. Well, now what?
Yeah. Well, then you have like all these fears where people are like, oh, well, your audience expects you to be visible so many
Right.
times or whatever. And like, I'm like, well, does my audience think I'm flaky? Because like last week I shared this like one amazing post and then like I ghosted for like 2 weeks. Like, because like, well, and also one more thing I wanted to say really quick, because this was important to me. It's okay to start small. um,
Mm.
I started off with the goal that I was going to consistently post in my Facebook group once a week, which is like a really small goal. But if you consider that that's 52 posts, like that
Yeah.
became a huge goal. And so it's okay to say, I'm just going to start off doing this one thing. And it doesn't always have to be super creative. Like one of the things that I love about your calendar is that it talks about just sharing blog posts. Like I always felt like that was cheating. Like it was like, well, that's not unique content. Like, and giving myself permission to go, this is why I wrote blog posts
Mm,
so that it can
mhm.
help new and established members of our Facebook group. And so, like, it's okay to make it easy for yourself. Like, it's really okay. And even when I started using the content calendar initially, like, I was like, okay, well, it's too easy for me to just copy and paste something that Angie said. And like, except that's literally what it's there for.
Yeah,
And
do
so,
it, man.
exactly. And so, like, Angie has now said it, so I now doubly have permission. Not that I needed it, but so it's okay to make it easy for yourself,
Mhm.
and you should make it easy for yourself, because the easier it is for you to succeed, the better results you're going to have, and the better results you're going to be able to bring to the table for your customers or clients or whatever you call them, your tribe. So, but yes, also you should definitely get Angie's social media calendar, because it will make it even easier for you to succeed.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, the goal is, yeah, I want to try and make it so easy for you so that you can focus more on putting your originality into, is that a word? Originality.
Yeah, yeah, it's a word.
We'll say it's a word. You can put that into, your blog posts or your YouTube videos, whatever, your podcasts, whatever content, the long form content that you're creating, you can really dive into that and you can use my
Yes.
calendar to create that short form content.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And one of the things that I found was that as I was writing some of my social media content, I was like, "Ooh, that would make a really good blog post."
Oh,
And
nice.
like, so I actually had a file next to me, like a little notepad on my computer, and I was like, "Okay, now I'm gonna like write a blog post about this." And so like, it actually inspired my entire year's worth of blog content
Wow.
for my blog, which is like huge because I never pre-plan my blog posts, like, because I just have never done that. And so I actually created the entire editorial calendar for the coming year too.
Oh my
Which
gosh, that's freaking awesome.
I have never done that before. But like, it's such a relief though, because now like I know that during my 1 week where I'm like serious into content creation, like I already have a plan. Like that's it. It's done. And so I'm like, all I have to do is create the stuff. And so that was added benefit of the content calendar, which is not what it was made for, but it was also really helpful to me because I felt very inspired using it. And I could never have done it without the calendar, because I always felt like I never had enough ideas. And that always, I always felt like I had to be like super creative all the time.
Mm.
And like even when I am super creative, like a lot of times that comes out into large things, like large blog posts or large ideas, and breaking it up into tiny, small, bite-sized pieces is a huge struggle of mine. And so that was one of the things that I loved with the calendar was that it was small, bite-sized things, which is perfect for social media,
Mm.
because you don't always need a 300-word post about, whatever you got inspired by that day. And sometimes, like, I would be inspired to write those based on your prompts. But other times when it was like, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And it was just like asking a question. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, okay. Like I can just post that. And honestly, like those kinds of posts also get just as good engagement as my long form posts. So that was a huge benefit. I never could have done it without the social media calendar because I had tried similar things in the past, but I just didn't have the inspiration to do it. And so, yeah, definitely grateful for the calendar.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah,
so much. I'm glad that you loved it, and
of
I
course.
appreciate hearing that. That means the world to me, even if, you're the only person that that has benefited, but I know you're not because I've gotten a
Yes.
lot of great testimonials, but I really appreciate you sharing that with me and sharing it with my audience. And for everyone watching, I will have a link down below to Christina's website. But
Yes.
remember, it's organizeyour.biz. So be sure to go check her out. So thank you so much, Christina.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure.
Yep.